Hey guys, JSP and JSP Talk Sports here, and we're talking FA Cup and Afcon, right? So we've been out for a while. Last week were the last set of matches up to Thursday in the league, well, English Premier League, that is, and we're looking at FA Cup this weekend. So we're starting on the Friday, and not too much big teams on the Friday. So we had Oxford beating MK Dons on penalties. We had Port Vale 1-0 over Fleetwood. Wigan 1-0 over Preston. And Wrexham and Nottingham Forest actually was Wrexham getting the better Forest after a 3-3 draw, winning on penalties. And then moving on to AFCON on the Friday. We would have gone through the predictions for these, and I would have been correct on both in terms of Mali versus Senegal. I predicted a Senegal win, and Senegal got it 1-0 over Mali, a goal in the 27th minute. So they're moving on. Well, as we go on, I'll let you guys know which team they will be facing. And then we had Cameroon versus Morocco. I predicted a Morocco win for this one, and Morocco got it done with a big 2-0 win over Cameroon in this quarterfinal. So, pretty comfortable for Morocco there. 9 shots, 3 on target, so 2-0. Cameroon with just 5 shots, 0 on target. So that's on the Friday. Continuing now on the Saturday, most of the matches will have taken place. Just going through real quick too, in Serie A, we had Roma with a 2-0 over Sassuolo and Atalanta with a 2-0 over Torino. Small matter of Spanish Super Cup on the Sunday as well. Right, FA Cup, Leicester 2-0 over Cheltenham. Sunderland on penalties over Everton after a 1-1 draw. Big one was this Macclesfield versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, as we know, being they were the current holders, and Macclesfield with a 2-1 win over Palace to knock them out. Palace actually got their one goal in the 90th minute, so Macclesfield would have been leading 2-0. And Macclesfield with only 29% possession, but they got 13 shots and 4 on target. And they are in the 6th division. So to get a big win like this over Crystal Palace, with hearing stories of some of their players had to working normal jobs and then coming to play the match after and getting it done over the holders Palace Premier League side. This is the stuff of dreams, the allure and the fantasy of the FA Cup alive and well with Macclesfield getting that win over Crystal Palace. And we had Wolves with a big 6-1 over Shrewsbury. Moving on, Burnley 5-1 over Millwall, so big win there for Burnley. Fulham with a 3-1 over Middlesbrough. Ipswich 2-1 over Blackpool. Man City 10-1 over Exeter. Feel sorry for Exeter in this match. They actually got their 1 goal in the 90th minute. So Man City making mass 10-1. And the thing to imagine with this one too, Man City scored 10 with Haaland at least starting. He was taken off early in the second half and not getting a goal out of 10. So really startling kind of figures there. And sad to say, Semenyo, their new player, off the mark with a goal. He went to City. Why people would choose to go to 115 charges team, left to be seen. I don't know. Newcastle and Bournemouth played out a 3-3 draw, and Newcastle got it done on penalties. We had Bristol City with a big 5-1 win over Watford. All Premier League clash, Aston Villa versus Spurs, 2-1 Aston Villa. Goals from Breda and Rogers. So Big win there for Aston Villa in this third round match. Chelsea with a big 5-1 over Charlton as well. And then on the Saturday in African Cup of Nations, we had Algeria, Nigeria. Did I predict this one correct? Yes, of course, Nigeria with a 2-0 win. Osimhen on fire here. So big win there for Nigeria, moving on to the semis. And Egypt and Ivory Coast. This one was a thriller, 3-2 win for Egypt. I predicted Egypt to win this one as well. And obviously Salah had to score. So in this match, actually, Egypt only had 29% possession, 6 total shots, 4 on target. So 4 on target and they got 3 goals. Ivory Coast had 13 shots, 4 on target, and they were beaten. So, and 71% possession. That is just to show you how possession alone doesn't determine who's going to come out on top, because obviously if you're converting 3 out of 4, which Egypt did, that guaranteed them. So Marmoush, Rabia, and Salah for Egypt getting it done over Ivory Coast. So how the semis shaping up for this Wednesday? We have Senegal versus Egypt, and we have Morocco versus Nigeria. Now I'm going to go with a bit of an unpopular prediction here. I'm going to go with Nigeria getting the better of Morocco, knocking out the hosts. So Nigeria to get the better of Morocco, and in the Senegal, Egypt, I'm going to go with Egypt, obviously, to support Salah. So we have a Egypt versus Nigeria final, and for Egypt, my African team, to get it done in the end. So let's see how that plays out. Afcon on the Wednesday semi-finals and the final on Sunday. Yeah. And we had yesterday, which is Sunday, the small matter of the El Clasico Spanish Super Cup. And this one proved to be a cracker of a match, and it ended up with a 3-2 Barca win. So it's 16 shots, 7 on target. Real with only 32% possession, 12 shots, 10 on target. Barca pulled out some spectacular saves to keep them in the game and not carry it to penalties, keep it at 3-2. Rafinha with a double, Lewandowski with another for Barca, and Vinicius and G. Garcia for Real. So yeah, Barca winning the Super Cup, and as a result of that, today, Monday, Alonso has been relieved of his job. So Alonso losing his job after the Super Cup loss. So big head roll in there in La Liga. Where does he go? Some people suspecting he might be replacing Slot, but my opinion on that is he was first choice. He didn't want to come. He chose Real, which is my Spanish team, Real Madrid, but he didn't choose to come Liverpool. Slot came, won the league. So hard luck there, bro. I know he's a former legend, but nah, anyway, second choice. So yeah, in Italy, Serie A, yesterday as well, we had Fiorentina and AC 1-1, and Lazio getting a 1-0 over Hellas Veronias, and Inter and Napoli 2-2 draw there. McTominay 2 for Napoli, and Di Marco and Calamangoli penalty. So how the table shapes up in Serie A, we have Inter on top on 43, AC Milan second on 40, Napoli third on 39, Juve fourth on 39 as well on goal difference, and Roma fifth on 39 on goal difference. So 3, 4, 5 tied on 39. And by the way, this was round 20 in Serie A. So although round 21 finished in EPL, in Spain and Serie A, there's a couple matches to catch up. Yesterday as well, we had FA Cup Sunday. Leeds with a 3-1 over Derby. Arsenal big 4-1 over Portsmouth. Yeah, Portsmouth from a Premier League team. Blackburn and Hull 0-0, and Hull getting it done on penalties 4-3 over Blackburn. Norwich, former Premier League team as well, 5-1 over Walsall. Moving on, West Brom getting it done over Swansea after a 2-2 draw. They got it on penalties. West Ham, surprisingly, 2-1 over QPR after extra time. And the big one from yesterday as well that I enjoyed, Brighton 2, MANU 1. MANU 19 shots, 8 on target. Brighton with 13 shots, 4 on target, 40% possession. And yeah, Brighton knocking out MANU in the third round of the FA Cup. So MANU get knocked out. They get knocked out at Carambo by Grimsby, right? And now they got knocked out by Brighton of the FA Cup. They're not in Europe, and they play City next in the league. So things don't get better for MANU after losing their manager, having caretaker manager Fletcher in charge. Let's see where they finish this season. So all where they were looking at Champions League spots and stuff, I have them out of Europe. So let's see. Last season was what, 15th, right? So yeah, hoping for some. They play in City on Saturday, so hoping for some licks there again for MANU. So getting knocked out of the FA Cup there, third round against Brighton. So at home as well. What a crisis time there. Enjoying every minute. So that's it for the roundup there for Afcon and FA Cup. We're back on for a next round of matches. Actually, today we had Juve with a 5-0 over Cremonese. So big win there for Juve to basically hold on to that fourth spot. And I forgot today actually Liverpool with a big 4-1 win over Barnsley. And this one, so Basai with a screamer of a shot, Frimpong with another amazing goal. And then I don't know what Sobosai was trying to do on the 6-yard box, trying to backheel to Allison, just laid it up for Barnsley striker and 2-1 at that point. And Barnsley, like they got some motivation there to attack, and they were looking good. Could have almost have a penalty, and for a large portion of the game, up to the 84th minute, it was 2-1. So it was a close game up to that point. And then Wirtz, after he missed a sitter, he ended up scoring a nice goal with a assist from Ekatike, and then he paid back the assist by assisting Ekatike in the 94th to end up 4-1. So just looking at this game, 4-1, 75% possession, 21 shots, 7 on target. You would think that Liverpool dominated this game and it was easy pickings and stuff like that, but it was anything but. It was a really tough victory there, 2-1 for most of the game, and keeping this Barnsley in the game when it should have been easy coasting. I don't know what's not going on tell Slobosai after this game, but can't be doing that kind of crazy stuff on your 6-yard box trying to backheel to a keeper. Overconfidence, madness. So Liverpool next play Burnley in the Premier League. So they have some winnable games coming up. I'm hoping that they could go on a bit of a run here. Yes, they're unbeaten, but not looking that convincing right now because they're coming off the back of after the Wolves win, it was a 0-0 draw with Leeds, 2-2 draw with Fulham. Well, you know, they got that equalizer in 97 minutes. So draw 0-0 Leeds, draw against Fulham 2-2, draw against Arsenal 0-0. And now they got the 4-1 over Barnsley, but yeah, to say fielding half of the team kind of non-starters or thereabout. But the next play Burnley, then they have Marseille in the Champions League, Bournemouth, Kornberg FK in the Champions League, They have Newcastle, and then big one against City. So a couple games there, hoping that they could go on a bit of a run and win those before that City game, and well, hopefully to beat City as well. Then they have some. Oh, and then in the FA Cup they play the MANU conquerors Brighton. Yeah, that's coming up in the FA Cup in the fourth round. So other than the City game, hoping that they go on a bit of a run there. They have not too much hard competition in terms of there's Everton there, Palace, Man U in Old Trafford. Hoping they could beat up Man U there. Man U that time might be closer to relegation than anything. Chelsea, Villa, and then they close off against Brentford. So lots of football still to play. Just over half of the season gone, so looking forward. Don't forget, JSP and JSP Talk Sports. Like, share, subscribe, and comment.